Hey everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm making an art journal page with some texture underneath, and I'm starting with a stencil and the light modeling paste from Liquitex. I'm just applying it through the stencil to my page, and that's one of our mini marks stencils, and I'm working in a watercolor sketchbook. um I'm just thinking about, I'm not sure which brand of sketchbook that is. I will have a look and then write that into the description. It might be a Hahnemühle sketchbook. Once I've applied the texture paste, I'm going to let that dry. This paste dries quite quickly, so I would say maybe about an hour or somewhat. Um, it's a really nice paste and I have it a long time. I don't use it a lot and it's still not dried out. But what I'm doing, I'm spritzing water into the paste before I close it, so it keeps its moisture a little bit longer. You can see I'm back now with the dry page, and I'm adding a little bit of stamping, just some background texture, to then make it more interesting later when the page is finished. And I'm using a stamp from I think it's the Mix It Up 4 stamp set. It does not matter which stamp set, I just use some text from this ticket. And I think I'm also going to use a number stamp from our Mix It Up 7 stamp set. It would have been probably better to stamp first and then apply the texture paste. I'm not sure about that. Maybe next time I will try if that works better or looks better in the end. I try to make kind of a cluster. I don't stamp over the whole page. I also applied the texture paste at a diagonal uh way on the page, and I'm stamping around that. To add color to this page, I wanted to use some of the new inks from Ferris Wheel Press. And I use these inks usually with a pipette and put this out of my ink bottle because I'm a little bit afraid if I'm dipping in my brush that I might ruin the inks. Because I have an ink from Liquitex, which is an acrylic ink, and it got moldy and it has a very bad smell now. And these inks are very expensive and I love them, so I don't want to do anything bad to them. I picked a purple color and a green color, and the purple is Rose of Ascension and the green is the Evermore green. I will give you the links and a discount code in the video description. You can use any other type of ink, of course, to create a similar background. You even can use watercolors if you wish. I think this will also be really nice with some granulating watercolors probably. I just added some brand new water into my bucket because the other one was quite dirty and I didn't want to use it. And here you can see it's a reddish purple color. Maybe more wine red. I don't know. I think it's a bit less reddish than you see it here on camera. It's just the color on camera is always a little bit different than in real. But you can jump over to our blog and have a closer look at the photos of the finished page. And there is also a link in the video description. I really like to let the ink run a little bit by adding more water so it gets some movement on the page. And I also be very careful not to overwork it. I don't want to add too much. I don't want to cover the entire page. I would like to leave some white areas and keep it light. And also not only light color-wise, also light that it's not too heavy. because the colors are very intense. And if you use them in too many areas or too big or with less white, I think it hits you and it's too much. It's too heavy, and that's why I try to keep light areas, add water, and make different shades of the ink. What I really like about the inks from Ferris Wheel Press, they dry with some really interesting color shifts in them. And that's what's so lovely about them. I use them a lot in my sketchbook just to bring in some background shading. That's quite lovely. And they are also really nice for card backgrounds because a lot of their inks have some mica powders in them. The green one doesn't have a mica. The red has some mica in it, and it will then has also some shimmer once it's dry. When you're working with the reddish and greenish color, it will mix a gray. So I am very careful not to mix the colors too much, but it's really nice to mix them in a few areas just to get that neutral color that just tones down the whole intensity of the green and the purple, and you will get a really, yeah, I think it's really harmonic in the end because of the neutrals you get. I really like that the texture I've made in the beginning shows up now, and it does not show up too much. I'm not a big fan of texture paste. That's why I usually do not often use it. But I think when it's in the background and you can see it, but it's not overwhelming, I really like it. I let the ink dry completely, and here I'm coming back in, doing some splatters with the ink. Just a few to make it a bit more vibrant and add more interest and another layer to the page, which will add depth to it. While the splatters are drying, I'm just thinking about what I want to add as a focal point, and I definitely want to add kind of a collage cluster underneath and then add my focal point. I already picked a leaf from our Collage Leaves #3 stamp set, and I also cut out a butterfly from our Butterflies and Moths. Not sure if I'm going to use it, and I hope that the leaf will fit the composition. And here I'm just going through my stash of collage bits and pieces. I sometimes make these type of bits from leftover collage papers. Here I die cut some with a border die and just keep them until I can use them. And I really like this pink one. I'm just going through the others I have to see if there is one that fits the page a bit better. I try to stay cohesive with my colors because I don't like to add too many colors here. I want to keep it more simple and not introduce a lot more colors. I think the only color I'm going to introduce is the turquoise. And when you have a closer look at the Evermore green, once it dries, um, it sometimes has a turquoisey shift in it, and that matches the turquoise that I will pick for my collage cluster. And yeah, I think I'm going through more papers just to make sure there is nothing I'm missing. There is not a paper where I say, oh my god, that's perfect for the page. So I'm just going through my stash of papers. And I also picked only papers that are a little bit thicker, not my thin collage papers like rice papers, because there is that texture paste underneath. And I really do not like to collage something thin over a texture paste. I just don't like that. So I want to have something that covers the paste up and that stays flat on the paste. And I think this is the composition I'm going with. Um, that that ticket will be my tool to fix the leaf on the page, if that makes sense, just so that it does not just fly on the page. It has a grounding, and I will put that over the leaf. I think this is made with dies from Sizzix. And here I'm just thinking about where to attach the butterfly, but I will decide that later once I've adhered all the pieces. Because I picked the turquoise label, I decided to add a little bit of the same turquoisey ink to my page, just a few splatters, so it just gets that connection to the background. Whilst the splatters are drying, I'm going to add a little bit of color to the leaf image, and I'm just using the Evermore green ink and add it in just with some water and very light. Once I'm done with the coloring, I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm just going to adhere it to my page, and that's it. I will now show you the finished page, but you can jump over to the blog and have a look at all the close-up photos. I hope you enjoyed today's video and you are a little bit inspired, and we will see us next time. Bye!